Hello, it's Adam Turner again, here to show you a quick update on where I'm at with my Blogz application. I guess I'm kind of vlogging. No one uses that term anymore, but I guess I'm kind of documenting my journey with this application, which is a MERN stack application. So for those that don't know, it's MongoDB, Express, React, and Node.js all working in tandem to produce a full stack application. So yeah, a little bit about me if you didn't catch the previous video, and I probably won't do this over and over again, but I've been studying programming or whatever since 2018 or so. Even prior to that, actually, I've got a certificate in Java, object-oriented programming with Java from late 2017, so quite a while now. And I've dabbled in all sorts of languages, so Java, Python, PHP, JavaScript, TypeScript. Um, yeah, uh, so primarily now I focus on JavaScript, and I'm kind of developing skills in TypeScript at the same time. And this application is my attempt at solidifying what I've been learning on this course called Fullstack Open by the University of Helsinki. And they offer this free course. It's open to anyone. You can pick it up and leave it as you go. But I've been kind of diligently working for it, and I got the certificate recently for completing the core of this course. And that's given me just enough skills to build a fairly, I wouldn't say robust, but it works quite well, this application. A lot still to do, and we'll go over that. But anyway, enough about me. I'm going to switch over because I've learnt these fancy video editing skills. I'm going to switch over to the computer screen view. So I'm just going to be looking over here while we do things, and I'll just go over two main areas. So I'm already running the backend. So I've got these two folders, backend and frontend, in my repository. The backend runs a Node.js Express server, and that's running at the moment already in the terminal, which is hidden. And that serves up the API, which handles the database queries and everything. And then on the front end, we've got this React application, which is running at the moment on another port, and they kind of talk to each other. So the backend is essentially a collection of APIs, and it's got a database as well that the APIs communicate with, and they serve requests that are sent from the front end. The user clicks something, or that fills out a form and presses submit, or presses the like button or whatever. That'll send an API request out. API call will be made down to the code I've written on the front end, and the backend will respond with data or some kind of response in some way, which is then used and manipulated on the front end. So yeah. Anyway, I've totally changed the look at this. So if you look at I'll talk about two things on this video. One is the style changes, and the other is the validation. So this is what it used to look like. I've got this GIF that I used on the repo preview or repo description, and it wasn't too great. These garish orange colors and the kind of too simple nature of the styling of the cards and things is too much for me. So I've gone and improved it all. I got some feedback actually from someone on LinkedIn, funnily enough, who I can't recall his name off the top of my head, but very nice chap. Told me that orange just ain't right. So I've changed it to this nice kind of steel blue, like grey blue, and that's pretty cool. So if I go to dark mode, you've got this kind of glowing effect on Blogz as well. But my favorite style change has been to use the paper component from MaterialUI. And I've totally converted over to this. MaterialUI is I guess, a library of components that you can use. So we'll just quickly look it up. MaterialUI. So there's MaterialUI, which is this React component library. So it's just a collection of pre-built things. And one of those pre-built things is this card here, paper, sorry. They call it paper. And paper is based on this idea of material design. I'm clicking all over the place. But material design, which is a philosophy built by Google. And a lot of it is about smooth user experience and making things seem realistic. So in this circumstance, the paper component is serving like it's a real life piece of card on a nice kind of plain background. So they've used a bit of box shadow and border radius. And these aren't all the default effects. I've customized it quite a lot. But that's generally the principle I've been following with MaterialUI, is to take what they give you, which are these components. It's like working with Bootstrap, for example. You've got Bootstrap navigation bars and buttons and all sorts you can play with. Same with MaterialUI, which is built for React. So yeah, it's a really cool library that I've grown to love. So anyway, that's the style kind of thing. So things have changed quite a lot. And on the back end, we'll just go over that quickly. I've added validation, proper validation to the forms now. So if I go log in, you've got this nice helper text that tells you that ain't right, no username. And the other one is password must be at least 4 characters. So if I put the username in, and this doesn't exist, that username, and then I put a wrong thing, so I've got to still sort this out. And as I said, this whole project is a work in progress, but the helper text is up there. And the reason that is because I've styled it in such a way that any helper text is always absolutely positioned in the top right corner of its parent container. So in those circumstances, it's okay in the input fields, in the text area fields, they're called in MUI, but not so good if you get it all wrong and it's outside of those containers, because now it's right in the parent container, which is this big space. So in the top right there. So yeah, so there's the validation there. We've got a registration form. Just zoom back to normal. And I can try and register with nothing. And again, we've got this cool helper text, but the main thing is, if I go, if I hit register now, I'll show you on the back end, or the back end, but the front end's cool stuff. Registration, we've got some validation here. I've got a function I've built called validate form, which will run through all of the possible inputs and check, is the username there? So we use trim, clears all the white space. If there's nothing left over, then we've got an error, so we go false. And the error, this is stored in state here under errors for username. So that will then appear on the front end. So yeah, that's generally it. I've added some validation on the forms, but not only that, we've got proper validation on the back end as well. So if I go to login, you can see here we've got the login. There's a post request, and it takes the username and password from the body, which is just an object, JavaScript object that's been sent to the backend in an API call. It extracts the username and password, checks is the user in the MongoDB database. If it is, then the user thing will be populated. Password is then correct. If bcrypt completes the comparison function correctly with the hash password in the database, and then we've got a bit more validation. So that's obviously really important in terms of security, and bcrypt is a really secure, or apparently very secure system for handling passwords. So I trust it. But yeah, and then we're checking here is both if either the user or the password is incorrect, then we send a 401 error, invalid username or password. So all this validation, you can see this JWT token here down here. All of that goes back to the front end, and if you've got it wrong, so I go to the login, and I know this user exists, demo, but I'll do the wrong password. And up there you go, you got the error, but also on the console, I've still kept it there. Okay, so a bit difficult to see. Maybe I'm not logging the error actually. Yeah, I'm not logging the error. Oh, I am, what am I saying? There we go. Filter resource 401 unauthorized. So I'll just try that again. Demo, wrong password, login. Post, unauthorized, good. So that's telling us there's an error, and I can check that in the network tab, demo, login, turn that filter off, I think. There we go, cool. Cool, so I can see the network request was post, 401 unauthorized is the status code, and the response is invalid username or password. That's exactly what I've stipulated on the back end here, invalid username or password. So it's this validation that is triggering that response. So that's that. So that's generally what I've been working on, validation and style. Another thing is this JWT token. I need to reduce that down. That is ridiculously high for the amount of time it can expire in. For those that don't know, JavaScript web tokens or just are a way to store a kind of authentication, a bit of data on a user's local storage. So in this example, we've used local storage, and when the user logs in here, they're given a token. So they've passed all of these other validation checks. They're given a token that's signed by JWT, JavaScript Web Token, and the response the API sends back to the front end is the token with the username and the name of the user. So on here, if I log in, I'll just clear this down. Stop, refresh. I forget how you clear it actually. Never mind, I'll just do it again. I've forgotten off the top of my head how you clear it, but I'll just log in with the demo. And I wasn't recording, that's why. Log out. Sorry about this. Just go boom. There you go. Now I've got the request. So that's the response. And the response is that token. And that token says to the user, the user's browser, you are allowed to use this website without logging in again for however long that is in time, which I'm going to have to reduce, but I'm just doing it for testing reasons. It kept logging me out. But that token says I can use this website without logging in again for X amount of time. And that token is stored in local storage. So if I go to console and I type in console log local storage like that, camel cased, I can see it in local storage. Well, I'm doing the darker mode stuff as well. So if I flip between that and then do that, dark mode is now false. So you see, I need to switch those values over. It should be true. But yeah, this token here is stored here. It's the same thing that we got in the response. So that is actually stored in the browser. So whatever the user does for, I don't know how many days that number equates to, but that token will stay in their storage unless they manually clear it out or they throw their computer away or something. They're able to log in without doing anything for X amount of time. So that's stored locally in their storage on their computer. That's the idea of local storage. So yeah, cool. That is generally all I wanted to go over. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it wasn't too long, but yeah, I primarily worked on style and validation, and it seems to be coming along quite well. So hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much.